Okay, good evening, everyone. So in the last session, we discussed about the Elastic Block Store, which is a block-based storage, which can be used as a storage for our EC2 instances, right? Okay, so what all we covered in the last session, we have seen like what is EBS and what are the different types of EBS volumes available. What are the use cases in the sense, in what kind of situation, what type of EBS volume we have to choose, right? And then we created multiple EBS volumes, and we learned that the EBS volume can be attached to the EC2 instance, which is in the same availability zone, right? Which is in the same availability zone. And then we have seen how to attach it, and then we have seen like how to make that usable. That's where we stopped, right? Okay. Now, in this session, we will talk about a few other things like how we can make that data or that EBS volume available in other availability zones or in other regions also, which means, let us say here, let us say this is the EC2 instance, let us say EC2 instance. I will say this is in US East 1A. Okay. And here I have another EBS volume. Sorry, another EC2 instance. This is in US East 1B. And then I have another EBS volume. Sorry, I have another EC2 instance. Let us say this is in AP South 2, which means this is in Mumbai, right? This is also the EC2 instance. And here, these two are in, this is in Northern Virginia, and the second one, I will say this is a server 2, this is server 1. Just I'm going to name them for easy identification purpose. Server 3. Okay, so here I have an EBS volume. EBS volume, and which is of 1 GB, the current one, existing one, right? 1 GB. And this is in US East 1A. This is US East 1A. So here, I think we have seen already, we have seen it, right? So let me go to the EC2 just to show you the volumes. And if I click on volumes under Elastic Block Store, you can see the list of available volumes here. Out of those, this is the one, which is 1 GB in size, which is attached to server 1. You can see here, right? Which is possible. The reason is the EBS volume and the EC2 instance both are in the same availability zone. Both are in the same availability zone. So this is what we have already done in the last session. And I guess we created one file also, right? We created one file on the EBS volume, just some important document or something. Now, your organization has a requirement that the same file, let us say here we created some data, some files here, and that data to be accessible on server 2, which means this volume to be attached to the server 2 like this, but which is not possible. The reason is EBS volume is in 1A availability zone, the same region, and the server is in 1B availability zone in the same region. Means even though the volume and the EC2 instance are in the same region, but they are across two different availability zones, which means which means that EBS volume cannot be attached to the EC2 instance, but we need that volume to be connected. We need that volume to be connected. And here, what we can do is, what we can do is from, from this volume, it contains some data. We need to create a snapshot. We need to create a snapshot. Snapshot means image level backup. So I can say create snapshot of that EBS volume. Create snapshot of that EBS volume. What is the snapshot? Snapshot means image level backup. Snapshot means image level backup. What does that mean? Whatever is available in that storage volume will be automatically included into the snapshot. What is the advantage of the snapshots? Those are the backups which can be used to create EBS volumes. Now, what we can do from this snapshot, we can create a volume. We can create the volume. While create the volume, we can choose the availability zone. We can choose the availability zone as per our requirement. The reason is this snapshot doesn't belong to availability zone. That belongs to region. That belongs to region. From that snapshot, we can create the volume in any availability zone of the same region. And this contains all the data, whatever is available on the original EBS volume at the time of creating the snapshot. Means it contains whatever the file we already had on that volume. And then we can attach like this. Now you can ask me a question like, okay, now I need the same data to be available on the EC2 instance, which is in a completely different availability zone, which is completely in a different availability zone. So you might say, okay, here I have a snapshot. Can I use this snapshot to create the EBS volume in Hyderabad region? No, you cannot. You cannot. You can create the volume in the same region, but any availability zone. So in this case, what we have to do, what we can do, we can copy the snapshot to Hyderabad region, copy the snapshot to Hyderabad region, and from this snapshot, create the EBS volume in the required availability zone of the Hyderabad region. Then you can attach. Then you can attach. This is how you can get the volume in any availability zone. You can get the volume in any availability zone or in any region. So first, let us talk about the word called a snapshot. So we can say snapshot is the process of creating image level backup of the EBS volume. What exactly happens here? Snapshot contains all the data exists on the EBS volume at the time of snapshot creation. At the time of creating the snapshot, whatever the data is available, that data will be included into included into the snapshot. And we have two types of snapshots available. We have two types of snapshots. Can you guess what are the two types? One is a manual snapshot, and the second one is automated snapshot. Manual snapshot means manual snapshot is the snapshot which we will create whenever the snapshot is required. Whereas automated snapshot means automated snapshots are scheduled to create the snapshot automatically at a regular interval of time. Like let us say you have only one EBS volume for disaster recovery purpose. You, as per the organization policy, you must have create backups on a daily basis. You must create backups on a daily basis. So every day you need to log in at 6 a.m. in the morning or 2 a.m. in the morning, and you need to click on the create a snapshot every day. But what if you have like 20 EBS volumes or 100 EBS volumes? You can't create 100 volumes every day, right? Your complete day will be busy with creating the snapshots. Then what we can do, we have a concept called a life cycle policy or life cycle manager, by using which we can schedule the automated snapshot process as per our requirement every day or every 1 hour or every day or as per a regular interval, regular intervals. Automatically the snapshot will be created. These are the two different options available. Generally in the real time, we will use automated snapshot. Then you might ask when we can use a manual snapshot. Whenever you want to create, let us say you are installing something, some new version or something of your applications. What happens? Sometimes the installation might fail or configuration might wrong, and the entire application might not work, right? That's why in the every time in the real time, every time you're doing some modifications for the production servers, we will create a snapshot. So if you identify that something went wrong, immediately we can revert all the new installations changes using these snapshots. That is the main advantage. So here already we know that we can attach the EBS volumes to the EC2 instances in the same availability zone. Same availability zone. But what if we need the volume in a different availability zone EC2 instance? We can create the snapshot of EBS volume, and the snapshot contains all the data available on the EBS volume. Then what we can do from the snapshot, we can create the EBS volume in any availability zone of that specific region. Let us say, I can say existing EBS volume, or I can existing EBS volume in US East 1A. From this, create a snapshot, then create EBS volume in US East 1B. So according to our requirement, we can create the volumes with the help of the snapshots. Also, if we need the volume in a different region, then we can copy the snapshot to the required region, and then we can create the volume in that region's availability zone. Okay, let us do these things in practical so that we can understand that better. So already we have this 1 GB volume. Let me clean up first, and then we can do all these things again. This is a 1 GB volume, which is in US East 1A. It already contains some data. Let me show you what data it is. This is the EC2 instance which we created in the last session, right? Wait, I'm connecting to server 1. Let me open. This is the 1 GB drive. There is one file called a test file. Let me duplicate 7, 8, 9, 10. So how many files are there total? 10 files. Okay. Now what I do is I will create I will create a snapshot. I will create a snapshot. Okay, let us say here, create the snapshot of the EBS volume 1 GB, which is in US East 1A, contains 10 text files, right? And here you have to remember it is in the US East 1A, which is 1 GB volume, which contains 10 files. We are going to create a manual snapshot first. Then create a new EBS volume using the snapshot in US East 1B availability zone. Then attach the newly created EBS volume to server 2, which is in US East 1B, and observe that the volume contains 10 text files. That's the concept, right? Then we can see like how can we copy to a different region, then how to create the volume in a different region and all the things we will see one by one. Let us see these three. So are you guys clear that what exactly we are going to do, or any questions? Without knowing what we are about to do, is we can't understand the concept. Are you guys clear till now, or any questions? Okay, I got a question like we created the EC2 instance in the last session, right? Which is on Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. It's been 4 days or so, but still it is having the same IP address. Why there is no change in the IP address? That's the question what I received. Can anybody know why I am getting the same IP? Why the IP address not change? And this is not a elastic IP. That's a normal auto assigned public IP. Can you guess why the public IP address hasn't changed yet? Still we are getting the same old IP. The reason is the IP address only changes whenever we don't stop and start the whenever we stop and start the EC2 instance. But I forgot to stop the EC2 instance on Thursday. On from the on Since Thursday, that EC2 instance is still running. That's why I got the same IP, or else we might get a new IP address. Okay, right. I haven't stopped the EC2 instance. That's why I got the same public IP. Okay, so what is the first step we have to perform? We need to create a snapshot. So you guys have never seen, I mean, we haven't covered how to create the snapshot yet, right? Now let us see how to create the snapshot. To create the snapshot, first we have to navigate to the EC2 service. Click on volumes under Elastic Block Store. Volumes under Elastic Block Store. Then select the EBS volume from which you would like to create the snapshot. Then actions. There is one option called create a snapshot. Click on create snapshot. Snapshot details, description. So you can give any name, my manual snapshot. I will say date 22 September 2025, just some meaningful name. Then click on create snapshot. And you can see successfully created snapshot from volume so and so. And if I click on snapshots under the same Elastic Block Store module, you can see a snapshot is getting created. Snapshot status is pending, which might take a few minutes depending on the size of the EBS volume. Now, this snapshot contains all the data available on that original 1 GB EBS volume. So here, what exactly is happening? This contains, this volume contains 10 files, right? This volume contains 10 files. Now, what I did, I created a snapshot. And this snapshot is created in Northern Virginia region. It doesn't belong to any specific availability zone. Now, this also contains all the 10 files. All the 10 files. Now, what we can do here, what we are about to do from this snapshot, we are going to create the same 1 GB EBS volume, but in US East 1B availability zone. Then we can attach that like this. And this EBS volume also contains all the 10 files. This is what we're going to do. This is the first step. And this is the second step. And this is the third one. Attach that to EC2 instance, which is in 1B availability zone. Let me verify. Let me refresh the page just to check the status of the EBS snapshot. Yeah. Now, what is the next step we have to do? Create a new EBS volume. Just we can give some name for identification purpose. I will give a name called 1GB-GP2-1B. So this I'm going to create in 1B availability zone. Just even you can give ABCXYZ. That doesn't matter. ABCXYZ or some meaningless words. You can use anything. Okay. Right. So how to do that? Go to snapshots. Select the snapshot from which you would like to create the volume. Here you can see an option called actions. Create volume from snapshot. So here you can choose the required volume type, size 1 GB. Availability zone, I would like to change that to 1B. But using that snapshot, I can't create any volumes in Hyderabad region or any other region. Now here, let me add a tag. 1 GB-GP2-1B. Click on create volume. Now let me go to the volumes. Let me do a quick refresh. So here it is. This is the one which we created just now. And you can observe here that this EBS volume is created using a snapshot with this snapshot ID. What is a snapshot ID? Ends with 65758. If I go to snapshots, you can see 65758. It means that volume created using this specific snapshot. And that volume contains all the data included in this particular snapshot. Okay, now what is the third step? We need to attach that newly created EBS volume to server 2 and observe like the volume contains 10 text files or not. How to do that? Select the volume, actions, attach volume, instances. Now it is only showing server 2. It is not showing server 1. Why? Why? Because server 1 is in different availability zone. Select that, choose a device name, attach volume. Now we have to verify, right? Now the volume is attached to the EC2 instance called server 2. See here, server 2. You can refresh and you can check. Attached to server 2. This is the one. Now we need to log into server 2 and then we will check whether that D drive contains all the data or not. And to log in, we must need the public IP. What is the username for Windows EC2 instances? Administrator and password. What is the password? How to get the password? To get the password, select the EC2 instance, then click on connect, RDP client, click on get password and upload the private key which we used at the time of creating the EC2 instance. Here is the password. Here is the password. Okay, now let me here. And now how to connect? Just we need to open the RDP. What is the public IP? 13.221.192.12. Username is administrator and here is the password. Yes, we are logging in to the server 2 to which we already attached the 1 GB volume. We already attached the 1 GB volume. Whenever you log in for the very first time, it will take some time to create the profile for the user and all. Okay. But for the second time onwards, you can log in within no time. But the first time it will create the profile, user profile for the user. Okay. So now what I do, I will open my computer or this PC. Click on this file explorer, this icon, which will open the file explorer. Right. And if I go to this PC, I can't see the 1 GB. Why? What happened? Is there any mistake in the practical which we are doing? No. The reason is the new EBS volume means whenever you are attaching a volume to any EC2 instance for the very first time, there is a new volume or a new hard drive for the EC2 instance. By default, the new EBS volumes will be connected in offline mode. So we need to make it online. Then, do we need to create the file system? No, because from which volume we created a snapshot, for that volume, already there is a file system available. The same file system will be available on the newly created volume. If you are trying to recreate the volume partition again or trying to format the partition, you will lose all the data. Just only thing is we need to make it online for the very first time. Second time onwards, no need to do. The reason is because of the policy, security policy. How to do that? Just you can click on start, type run, open run prompt, in which you need to type disk mgmt.msc. This is the one. Whenever you can see in the blue color, means it already having a valid partition with file system. We will see that. And here you can see offline. So right click on disk one, click on online and done. That's it. Earlier, we right click on new partition and all, but here not required because there is a partition which is a healthy. If you try to right click and click on format, you will lose all the data. Okay. Right. So now if I check D drive, see here all the 10 files exist because all these files were copied. All these files were copied from the original EBS volume to snapshot and then from the snapshot to the new EBS volume. Okay. Right. So now I need create a new EBS volume in any Hyderabad availability, or I can say in Hyderabad region, and attach the volume to the EC2 instance in Hyderabad 1B availability zone. Hyderabad 1B availability zone. What does that mean? Directly, you can't create. Why? The snapshot is not available in Hyderabad. The snapshot is not available in Hyderabad region. In this case, what we have to do, the first step is copy the snapshot from Northern Virginia to Hyderabad region. Then create EBS volume using the copied snapshot and select AP South 1B availability zone because my EC2 instance is in that particular availability zone. Let us check this. How to do that? So go to the snapshots, select the snapshot, actions. Can you see an option called a copy snapshot? Click on the copy snapshot. Description, I can say, you can use any meaningful name. Copied from N Virginia. Destination region. What is the destination region? I'm planning to copy that to Hyderabad. What is the code? AP South 2 is the Hyderabad region's code. Let me select that. AP South 2 and click on copy snapshot. Now this snapshot is getting copied to Hyderabad region. How to check that? Switch the region from Northern Virginia to Hyderabad. And then here, click on snapshots. Can you see a snapshot? 1 GB snapshot, which is still in pending state. Means it is copying all the way from Northern Virginia to Hyderabad. Now you can attach the EBS volume to the EC2 instance in AP South 2B availability zone. And then you can log in. You can check all the 10 files are available or not. Now I have a different thing. Automated snapshot. Create a life cycle policy for daily automated snapshots at 6:30 a.m. IST and delete old snapshots whenever they are 30 days older. Whenever they are 30 days older. Or I will say in a different way, create a lifecycle policy for daily automated snapshot for the below requirement. One is snapshot time 6:30 a.m. daily, means I need the snapshot every day at 6:30 a.m. Retention period 30 days, means I want to keep the backups for 30 days. Let us say, assume that every month is having 30 days only. So if I create, if any snapshot got created today, which is September 22nd, the same snapshot will be automatically deleted on October 22nd. Why the retention period? Whenever the backup is 30 days older, means that data is outdated. The data is outdated. I don't need that data. Whenever I keep like thousands of backups in my storage, it consumes more space and bill will be very high. Generally, 30 to 60 days are the retention period. Depends on the organization policy. Few companies will use 60 days, few companies will use 30 days. There are few organizations who will maintain only 15 days of backups and all. This retention period is based on your organization's policy. And then most important thing is targets. In the real time, there might be thousands of EBS volumes. Few volumes are for production servers, few volumes are for testing servers, and a few volumes are just storing the log files, right? there is no use of creating a backup for log files. Means here, include the EBS volumes for automated snapshot, which are having a tag called backup. Yes. What is the meaning of this is you might have 1,000 EBS volumes. You might have 1,000 EBS volumes, but whatever the EBS volumes are having a tag called backup yes will be included for automated snapshot. At this point of time, how many EBS volumes we are having in Northern Virginia region? Almost like 7 to 8 EBS volumes, right? Let me show you. I'm in the Northern Virginia region. You can check here. I'm in the volume section. There are 7 EBS volumes, but no EBS volume is having the tag called backup yes. Means in my lifecycle policy, no EBS volume will be included for automated snapshot. So what I mentioned that only the EBS volumes are having a tag called backup yes will be automatically snapshotted. How? Let us say here we have a 7, right? I want to select this EBS volume, go to tags. There is a tag, but it is not backup yes, right? I would like to create a tag, add a tag, backup yes, save one volume, and then another volume, this one, tags, manage tags, backup yes. There is no rule that only this tag to be used. Instead, you can use ABC XYZ, but in the policy you need to mention that tag. So here, out of 7 volumes, 2 volumes are having a tag called backup yes. Now my requirement is to include those 2 EBS volumes for automated snapshot. Let us see how to create that automated snapshot. How to do that is, in the EC2 service, you can see an option called a lifecycle manager. Lifecycle manager. Click on that. And here, choose custom policy, because we are going to customize the policy as per our requirement. And the policy type is EBS snapshot policy. Click on next step. So target resource type. Would you like to target only the volumes or the instance? What does the meaning of instance means? If you target an instance, and if that EC2 instance is having 5 EBS volumes, with a single selection, all the 5 volumes will be backed up, or for all the 5 volumes, the snapshot will be created. This option is a kind of EC2 instance snapshot. And if I choose this one, volume snapshot, what targets will be targeted? Only the EBS volumes with a tag called backup. Yes, see here, click on add. Now I added this tag. Whatever the EBS volumes are having this particular tag, they will be targeted by this particular policy. I will say daily automated snapshot, some meaningful name, at 6:30 a.m. IST. So here we need to choose an IAM role. What is the use of this IAM role? If you remember, in the IAM topic, I mentioned that going forward, we will see the IAM role, how to use it and all, right? Okay. What exactly happening here is there is a service, called Life Cycle Manager. Let us say this is a resource 1, and this is a resource 2. While creating the snapshot, what it will do, it will read all the data, it will list all the data, and then it will create a snapshot. Will create a snapshot. Means this lifecycle manager service must have a read permission on the EBS volume service, right? How can we provide that permission? Using IAM role. Because this lifecycle manager is not a user, that is a service. If a user is trying to do that, then we can apply the permissions with the help of IAM policy. Here, one service is trying to manage the other service. That's why we need to provide the permissions with the help of IAM role. See here, default role. There is an option for default role, no need to create. So what does the default role contains? See here, effect is hello. For what actions? Create a single snapshot, create multiple snapshots, delete snapshot. Why? Why delete snapshot? Whenever a snapshot is more than 30 days older, it has to be deleted. Describe volumes means it will list the volumes, how many volumes are there, and the volumes are having what tags and all. Describe snapshots, enable fast, whatever is required for that, they will be allowed for. See, create, delete, describe, resource allow, it will create a tags, effect allow, action, create a tags, delete rules, describe rules and all. Whatever is required, that will be automatically added. Policy status is enabled. Then click on next. Schedule name. Can use a meaningful name. Daily snapshot at 6:30 IST. Frequency daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, custom cron expression. Means if you want the backup every single hour, then you can do this. But I don't know this cron expression and all. For that, you can go to cron tab. A website which you can use. There is something called cron maker. Okay, cronmaker.com. Just go over there. Just give me a second. What happened? Okay, let me, or I can use a cron tab guru. You can use anything, that doesn't matter. Okay, so here, see this 5 4 star star star. What does that mean is every day at 4 5 a.m. the job will run. Or if I go to cron maker, it is easy. I would like to run hourly every 1 hour and click on generate. Click on generate, which will generate the cron expression. See here, this is the cron expression. Just you need to copy, paste it. How to read it? How to read it? If I go to daily, every day starts at 12, generate, which will generate this one. 12 every day, right? Okay, now here, my requirement is just simple thing. So what I do is daily, every 24 hours, not every 12 hours. At what time? I would like to use 6:30, right? Okay, I will say 0100 UTC. UTC means Universal Time Coordinates, which is India is 5.5 hours ahead of UTC. Means if you add 5.5 hours to this, you will get India time. At 6:30, retention type, I will say age 30 days. Count 30. Both are same in this case because daily ones 30 count means 30 days. If I say 12 hours and if I say 60 count, that is a 30 days of backups because daily 2 backups will be there if I say daily 12 hours, right? Midnight, morning 6:30, one backup, evening 6:30, another backup. Per day, 2 backups. 60 backups means 30 backups. If I say 24 hours, daily one backup, I will say age 30 days, 30 weeks, 30 months, 30 years. That depends on your requirement. I will say 30 days. Scroll down. These are advanced settings. which are optional. What exactly tagging? Would you like to copy the tags from the EBS volumes? If you want, you can select so that whatever the tags are available on the EBS volumes, the same tags will be automatically included. Snapshot archive. What is this snapshot archive? If you enable this snapshot archiving, it will these snapshots, generally snapshots will be stored in the standard storage. If you enable the snapshot archiving, what they will do is they will be moved. They will move, or I can say in a different way, all the data will, I mean, the snapshots will be stored in the archive storage type. In the archive storage type, the storage charges are minimum, very minimum. Archive storage is very minimum. But why it is not showing you to enable for this? These are only useful for monthly or yearly backups. If there is if there is a policy to create a backup every month on first, then you have to choose a schedule, like not a daily, monthly. See here, now you got it. After 90 days, it will move to archive storage, which will cost you very less amount. Okay, anyways, let me go back to daily. Scroll down. Fast snapshot restore. If I enable this, it will cost you some extra money, but at the time of restoring means creating the volume from the snapshot, that will be fastest. That will be the fastest. Cross region copy. What is this cross region copy? If you enable this, a snapshot will be copied to 3 different regions. Here the volume is in Northern Virginia, right? If I enable this one, your snapshot copy will be maintained across 3 different regions, like a kind of a offsite backups. And a cross account sharing means whenever whenever a snapshot has been created, the snapshot will be copied or shared with other AWS accounts so that they can use this snapshot to create the volume in another AWS account. What is the use case for this? Your company might have multiple AWS accounts, production, staging, sandbox, or testing, whatever. And your testing team wants to test something. Client gave the approval to take the backup of their production database or production volume. Then instead of creating the backup, downloading it, again re-uploading, or to avoid all this nonsense, simply you can enable cross-account sharing so that the snapshot can be accessed by other AWS account. They can create the volume without much administrative or manual efforts. Okay, but I'm not enabling any of these advanced settings. Just click on review policy and click on create policy. So the immediate automated snapshot will be created tomorrow morning, 6:30 a.m. India time. Tomorrow morning, 6:30 a.m. India time. And every day at 6:30 a.m., a backup will be created. But you can't verify it right now. You can't verify it right now. So tomorrow, we will verify that whether the snapshots are getting created or not. As per the policy, what should happen? Out of the 7 volumes, only 2 volumes must be included for automated snapshot. Means if I go to the snapshots tomorrow, along with this manual snapshot, you can see 2 other snapshots, only just 2, not 7, because we used a target called backup yes. Whatever the EBS volumes are having, a tag called backup yes will be automatically snapshotted. Okay, automatically snapshotted. Then what we can do, verify that the automated snapshots are getting created only for the EBS volumes which are having the tag backup yes. It should not create an automated snapshot of other EBS volumes. until this verification, I don't want to delete these EBS volumes because we have to verify, right? We will verify that in the next session, and then only I will delete it. Okay, right. So before continuing with the other options available on the EBS, are you guys clear or any questions till now? Okay, any questions? Okay, if you want to ask the question directly, just click on the raise hand so that I will allow you to unmute. Fourth point. Okay, you mean this one? Okay, what's your question? Okay, you do not understand this fourth one, right? What exactly we have done, right? Okay, let me rephrase that. Just give me a second. Okay, so you mean like you're asking like we copied the snapshot, but we did not created the volume, right? Yes, I did not create it. Like I left these two things for you guys because anyways, I don't have a server in the Hyderabad region, right? So I showed you how to copy, right? So now you need to create the EBS volume using the copied snapshot. Like if you ask me like how to create this, how we created here, the same way, or quickly let me show you. So that snapshot is copied to Hyderabad, right? So first you have to switch your region to Hyderabad, then go to snapshots. Make sure that the snapshot status is completed. Then select actions, create volume from snapshot, choose the required volume type, size, everything, availability zone. Choose the availability zone, same as the EC2 instance. In which availability zone the EC2 instance is in, select the same thing, and then click on create volume. The volume will be created. Then go to the volume, go to the volume, and then attach, use the attach option. Then use the attach option. Okay, right. Any other questions? Still, we have few other things like we need to check, we need to verify the volume management concepts also, which might not, which should not take much time, which will take just half an hour or so. So in the tomorrow session, the first half an hour, we will cover the EBS volume management, like increasing the size of the volume, changing the volume type and all. Then we will take up the questions from you guys. Like, I guess, I hope you guys might started the practicals and you are doing all the practicals. Definitely you might get some questions, right? Let us take up those questions in the tomorrow session and we will get some clarity on the questions, whatever you have so far. It's been like 2 weeks of classes, right? More than 2 weeks of classes, 11, 12 classes, right? So we will take up your questions from those classes, especially the practicals, issues, what you are facing while you're doing the practicals and all in the tomorrow session after completing the volume management concept. Okay. Right. So any questions on this EBS snapshots, manual automated snapshots? Any questions? Okay. It seems everyone is clear. If you guys are clear, let's stop the session here and let us continue tomorrow. Mostly by tomorrow, we will complete the EBS topic. Then we can go with other storage called S3. That will be a day after tomorrow. Okay. Okay, then it seems I'm not getting any questions from you guys. So let us stop the session here. Thank you, everyone. We'll continue tomorrow.